All right, and we are live. Welcome everyone back to the PurpleTrader show, the crypto show to showcase the special projects in Web3 and have meaningful conversations with crypto thought leaders, builders, and creators in the space. If you don't know by now, my name's The Pug, and I'll be your co-host. Alongside me is
Andre Nazareth, the founder and CEO of PurpleTrader.
today. We're going to center our interview around the social token report. For those who are just hearing about this, we recently released a social token report that aims to educate the community around the current social token ecosystem and the significant developments, emerging players, highlights from 2022, and critical things to look out for in 2023. The full report.
That's a really awesome news. We are super excited with this report. Hopefully, you can see. Sorry, the part to interrupt you.
Yeah, if Andre is excited, that means everyone should take a look at it. The full report can be found. The full report can be found in the description box below. It's a can't miss and will save you hundreds of hours of research and can get you caught up to speed surrounding the social token ecosystem. So with that said, joining us today in the discussion is going to be Andrew Yang, CEO of Cultos, a platform that enables brands to bring rewards, loyalty, and influencer marketing to Web3. So by the end of this interview, we hope that not only will you learn something new about the social token ecosystem, but also Cultos as well. So without further ado, let's welcome Mr. Andrew Yang to the interview.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Great. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Thanks for having me on. Great to be here.
Yeah, very excited to, I guess, Andrew, you are the first person to come on board with now the social token report officially released. So
awesome.
We're going to be very curious to hear your thoughts on the report and generally the whole ecosystem as well. But before we get into that, why don't we talk a little bit about what is Cultos to people that are just hearing about it for the first time?
Sounds great. So everyone, my name is Andrew Yang. I'm one of the founders and the CEO of Cultos. In terms of what Cultos is, we're really a Web3 rewards platform where, any brand, any creator, sports team can launch their own branded token and use it to reward, engage, and incentivize their customers or fans for various actions that benefit them as a brand, whether it's promoting them on social media to acquire net new customers, spread the word, build their community, or really incentivize them to become more valuable as a customer, maybe in terms of customer lifetime value, buying more physical products, digital products, engaging with the brand in general, and just genuinely leading to better outcomes for the brand. And then for the consumers, in terms of what we offer is kind of a differentiating factor compared to traditional loyalty. As in the general benefits of Web3, this is really a product which gives more incentive, more kind of reason to get involved to the consumers or the fans as well, because with these branded tokens, they have the ability to have complete freedom in terms of what they do with them, whether it's actually just cashing out or having more choice and optionality in terms of being able to not just get rewards from one brand, but kind of cycle across a whole ecosystem of multiple brands and access any rewards they want across them. So we've raised just over 8 million in total, including a token DPA raise on Republic last year. We have some great customers, also slash strategic investors, including the San Antonio Spurs and MGA Entertainment, which is one of the largest private toy companies in the world, known for things like Bratz and LOL Surprise. So super excited to be here, talk more about Cultos and social tokens in general. And yeah, thanks again for having me on.
Great. Well, congratulations on the funding so far and the early partners, the San Antonio Spurs. That's pretty cool. But before we dive deeper into Cultos, there's a key thing that I think could help also people that would be watching this video down the road, and that is you mentioned Web3 marketing. But some people might not even know what Web3 is. So we want to be able to communicate that to potential people that don't know that. So how could you explain, we don't have to go into a whole big thing about it, but what's really the main differences between Web 2 and Web 3, and specifically with what you're doing?
For sure. I think the biggest difference between Web 2 and Web 3, especially with regards to rewards specifically, is the ownership, freedom, and optionality that it brings. So what I mean by that is, if you look at Web 2, typically that's represented by large centralized social media platforms like Instagram or Twitter, where the platform owns all the consumer data, gets the majority of the benefit, and there's really not that much commensurate benefit getting back to the actual users and creators who are ultimately the ones, kind of driving the success of those platforms. Whereas with Web3, thanks to things like decentralized ledgers, all the various protocols out there, the ability to actually own assets and be compensated fairly for the value you bring to a community, whether it's fungible tokens, non-fungible tokens, being able to control your own data potentially too, if everything's kind of centered around a wallet, which again, you as the user control. That's kind of the key difference. So it's the optionality, it's the freedom, and it's the fair compensation aspect as well that those technologies, decentralized ledgers, wallets, tokens kind of bring to the table. And that's the difference between Web 2 and Web 3.
Great. Andre, before I have a question, I'm going to kind of pivot more into Cultos and brand tokens. Is there anything you wanted to add or anything you wanted to note?
No, I just find very interesting the way actually Cultos is engaged with the ecosystem, like this connection of because a lot of companies, they are trying to go into the Web3, but people don't realize what is really Web3. And I think Cultos is doing a great job in doing this in a very seamless way, where maybe people even don't realize that they are on Web3. Yeah, just to say that it's a really interesting project. You should guys take a look on this as well.
So hold on, guys. So Andrew, to go back to then Cultos, the question I'll have is, why are you guys so bullish about particularly like brand tokens? What are some of the benefits that potentially token holders, or we even go into customers? What are the benefits that these brand tokens could provide, and how? And that I would like to go back is why are you guys so bullish about it?
For sure. So I think we're bullish about it because, especially with regards to kind of community building or loyalty, and the dynamic between a brand and the base of customers or fans, which make that brand or creator successful. Web3 ticks the boxes in terms of adding what's missing from traditional loyalty, which is, typically the fact that you're boxed in. If you're part of a traditional loyalty program, you get points from a brand. You have to keep respending it on that same brand. And you're kind of stuck within that swim lane. And then also the ability to get liquidity. You can't typically you can't cash those points out. You can't kind of unlock the value that you brought to the table as a highly valuable repeat customer to the brand. And what Web3 is able to do, or at least in the way that Cultos does it, is we can make all that available to the end consumer. They can cash out their points. They can convert points from one brand's ecosystem to another and access all kinds of different rewards. And so that creates a higher level of incentive, which means for the brand, that's way better because they're going to be able to incentivize their customers to A, actually sign up for the loyalty program, and B, have something that's considered more valuable by these customers, which ultimately they'll use to drive towards the outcomes they want, such as getting them to buy more of their products, bring in new customers by promoting the brand, promoting new products launched by the brand, different events, whatever it is they want to center it around, and accessing, lookalike customers from their existing customer bases, social networks, and be able to compensate everybody fairly for that, so it keeps the community kind of growing and engaged in all times. So, for token holders of a brand token, really the main benefit that they get is the optionality. I can take my Nike tokens and turn them into, San Antonio Spurs tokens or Bratz tokens, access a whole ecosystem of rewards. I'm not really gated by anything. And that makes the rewards a lot more valuable to me because it's kind of the sum of the network instead of an individual brand. And if I want to just kind of cash out what I've earned as being a valuable customer, I can do that. I can turn it into other digital currencies, or I can turn it into fiat and just cash out my points. I'm not locked into an ecosystem. And ultimately, if I'm part of this ecosystem, I have a wallet, and with my consent, because I want the tokens or I want the rewards on the other side, that wallet is being associated with my commerce activity, my social media activity, and potentially even my gaming activity too. Especially if we're talking about some of the use cases we work on in the kids space, particularly with a brand like MGA, LOL Surprise, and Bratz, where there's kind of a significant nexus between brands like that and game ecosystems or metaverses like Roblox, where there's a lot of very popular digital toys that can kind of be brought into the mix as well, and give some more fun optionality to kids or those in that demographic. So really, for the holder of a brand token, it's that freedom, optionality, and the ability to liquidate whenever they choose to. That kind of offers a greater incentive.
Andrew, could you give more like details on some of the successful cases you mentioned? Some cases from kid space, like how was that? Like, very curious to know what is going on.
Yeah, for sure. So I can give you a couple different case studies. We did a charity launch with the Spurs, which was highly successful. It was there's an article actually posted about it on NBA.com when that came out. It was celebrating the win streak of their coach, Greg Popovich. And we sold a lot of different very exclusive rewards that the Cultos platform generated to the loyal fans. We work with smaller brands as well, like smaller e-commerce companies, where typically what we'll do is we'll give them the ability to use either our API or our e-commerce widget on Shopify, for example, to install into their site, and launch campaigns such as encouraging their customers to promote them on social media and refer people in their network to become new customers of the brand. The typical, and you can kind of compare that to an influencer marketing campaign where these customers are micro influencers. The typical engagement rates of a campaign like that, if you want to call it affiliate marketing or referrals, is like 3%. We were able to get a 16% engagement rate in one case, which is phenomenal. And in terms of the launch that we're very excited about with MGA, I can't give too many details. We're currently in beta with a mobile game with them. But I can tell you that in terms of the beta and the results so far from the kids and the parents who ultimately have to be involved, the data is extremely positive, and we're really excited to go all out and fully announce and launch that game this year, actually within the next couple of months. But I'll keep you posted on that.
Andrew, to further add to what Andre's saying, is I think what would be interesting is to almost do like a case study for people, like what could a potential brand token look like for a company that's potentially that might be interested. So like why don't we pick I don't know if anyone's doing, I mean, you would know best, but like between maybe an airline company or say like Dunkin, which already has these existing loyalty programs. In your opinion, what could they, what would it look like if they were to implement it? And we could pick one, whatever you wish to choose, if you have a better idea.
For sure. So the main thing with a successful brand token launch, especially if you're using something like Cultos, is a lot of the kind of Web3 elements are hidden behind the scenes, right? So from the perspective of the customer, they'll land on the Dunkin' Donuts website, or maybe they walk into a Dunkin' Donuts and they see a QR code with a banner saying, scan this and get a reward. And those are the different entry points into the program where Dunkin' Donuts originally kind of acquires these customers and encourages them to sign up. So you can imagine the customer lands on the website. They see a banner saying we're launching this new exciting loyalty program that gives you benefits like exclusive rewards if you're a part of it, discounts, exclusive experiences, whatever types of assets or rewards that the brand, Dunkin in this case, is able to make available. The consumer, they sign up, they just enter in their email and their password. On the back end, what happens is a custodian wallet is set up for them. They consent to connecting their socials like Instagram or TikTok or potentially Twitter, and then they see different missions, as we call it, which tell them different ways that they can earn tokens, such as a certain amount of purchases gets them tokens. Promoting Dunkin' Donuts on Instagram gets them tokens, and they get more tokens if some of their friends actually convert and sign up for the program as well. Or they get tokens for each time they go into a Dunkin' Donuts store, which could potentially be detected through a scan of QR code on a mobile app or some other methods involving the mobile experience. And ultimately, on the other end of that, they're able to use these tokens they've accumulated for various rewards. Maybe it's discounting purchases at Dunkin' Donuts. Maybe it's redeeming for an NFT that has some exclusive artwork, but also comes with some associated benefits like discounts, like an exclusive experience, whatever Dunkin' Donuts has made available. And if they want to take their tokens and kind of move out of the Dunkin' Donuts ecosystem, they could go to a social token exchange, and they could convert their Dunkin' Donuts tokens maybe into Nike tokens. Maybe use those tokens to discount a pair of Nike shoes instead, which kind of highlights the optionality or the freedom from a rewards perspective that you're able to get if you're part of a Web3 loyalty program. Or if they want to, they just take their Dunkin' Donuts tokens and they cash out, maybe through a KYC off-ramp partner like we use Uphold, for example, and they just cash out their Dunkin' Donuts tokens, points, whatever you want to call them, into fiat or into BTC or in ETH or whatever it is they want to do. And ultimately, on the other side, what the brand will see is significantly higher membership sign-up rate, because they have this great incentive to actually drive a successful loyalty program and get more of their customers to actually sign up, create an account, reveal who they are, so to speak, get a wallet, and then they'll start tracking very valuable first-party data as well. In-store first-party data, online first-party data, social media first-party data, and there's all kinds of things a brand can do with that to make their business as a whole more successful and more popular with their existing customer base. So that's kind of an example of what you could see with an example like Dunkin' Donuts and how a Web3 loyalty program would look.
Yeah, that'd be cool. As a fan of Dunkin' Donuts, I would definitely definitely consider getting that. Thanks for the insight on that. I hope Dunkin' should watch and take notice.
Sure, they're listening right now. For sure.
Andre, I know you before we switch gears into general social token report and the social token ecosystem, do you have anything you want to ask before we head into that direction?
Yeah, I like it, like the way like you describe it, people exchanging those tokens, and how you were framing, because like in the end of the day, these are like utility tokens, so people should not expect to have a return into them, but at the same time, like for the whole economy works, like and people like the fans, the customers be incentivized, we should have some kind of exchange, or people be able to exchange this for other things. For instance, like a miles program, like as other loyalty programs, like if they give us the users the ability to transform those points into something valuable, or maybe even like with a bigger value than actually it was before. It's a very interesting incentive for them. So I'm curious to see like how do you see, because now it's a new economy, right? of course, like companies, they have their equity, they have the stocks, but what is that? Like, what, like, how would you compare? Because this is not, are not stocks. Like, if somebody's buying those tokens, if somebody is acquiring, what is that? You know, how could you define it?
Well, for our token in particular, I wouldn't, right? Maybe it's different where you guys are in Europe, but really, our token is a utility token, and the value for anyone who holds it would be the optionality or the ability to liquidate, like I mentioned. I certainly wouldn't compare it to stocks. For other social tokens out there, if I was just to peruse PurpleTrader, I suppose it really just depends on the tokenomics and kind of the incentives behind why someone would get it. But ultimately, in terms of a utility value, just kind of going back to that, it's more valuable compared to points, I would say, from a consumer's perspective, simply because they can do things with them that they can't do with points right now. And that could be things like cashing out. That could be things like turning them into a reward that maybe on a sentimental value, they value more highly from another brand. Like they got the Dunkin' Donuts points, but there's some exclusive, 3D sneaker from Artifact that they could get from Nike, and they could convert it into Nike tokens and redeem it for that. So there's certainly that kind of sense of a higher value from a sentimentality perspective that could come into play if the consumer has the option to kind of convert their tokens into any other brand's tokens and get different types of rewards for sure.
Awesome. I like the way that you frame. So it's like the value behind it, it's a mix. If I would summarize, like, is the utility plus this social subjective value, which is a little bit connected with like a belonging feeling, like that I'm part of this brand, this culture in some way. Yeah, love
Exactly.
this how you frame it. That.
All right, guys. So why don't we switch gears and talk about the social token ecosystem and particularly the social token report. So, Andrew, curious about like some of the major takeaways you got just from reading the report.
For sure. So first of all, props to you guys for putting that together. I think it's a great report, and certainly one of the most detailed ones I've seen specifically on the social token community token ecosystem. Most reports I've seen are a lot more generic, right? Just like kind of like the state of Web3 in general, and kind of touches on every single different sector. So it was really interesting to see this, which is obviously the most relevant to us at Cultos in terms of what we're doing. Main takeaways would be, there's been a lot of progress in the ecosystem as a whole, especially if you look at the metrics such as the total amount of funding or kind of ecosystem value locked up across these different protocols. There's a good kind of technology foundation with protocols out there like Deso, for example, and others. And there's a growing base of application level projects, kind of similar to Cultos, with examples being like Roll, for example, or Rally and others like that as well. There's a lot more traction, it seems, on the creator coin side, or tokens that are created for sports teams. And kind of going back to that subjective value, sentimentality thing we were talking about, which I think can be a lot stronger with an influencer or a sports team versus like a consumer packaged goods company. That could easily be the case for why that is. So I'll be excited to see social tokens, hopefully this year and then the next year, whenever you guys write your next report, show a lot more progress in terms of, companies like Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks or airlines, which I think have a lot of potential to really leverage these technologies and are perfectly set up for it, be included in that report as well. But yeah, I think it was a great kind of deep dive for anyone who wants to take a look at what the social token ecosystem looks like today.
Andy, you mentioned like the segment of sports as growing a lot of attraction and attention. What would be the next segment or a few segments in addition to sports that you see that has more potential in the upcoming years?
Yeah, for sure. So I think there's certain consumer industries that will have a lot of potential. I mean, you can look at verticals like alcohol, for example, or cannabis that have a lot of restrictions in terms of how they advertise themselves on social media, and obviously have a lot of different exciting rewards, yeah, including the products themselves that consumers will find compelling, and combined with tokens and non-fungible tokens could be a great incentive for them. I think we might see a lot more traction in those spaces. I think streaming OTT streaming platforms. So think Netflix and their equivalents. I think there's a lot of potential there, especially because of who their licensing partners are in entertainment. That's a great pool of really exciting rewards that they can kind of make available for their subscribers to want to earn using the tokens they get just from engaging and consuming content on the platform. We might see some applicability there. I think gaming is a huge one, and we're going to see that more and more. I mean, there's huge potential just in terms of the non-fungible side. One of the holy grail use cases of NFTs is tokenizing gaming assets. Like an item in one game could be transferable to another, or at the very least, ownership of those assets from the gamer who plays all kinds of different games. They would actually be able to own those assets outside of those games and buy and sell them in a secondary market. I think that's going to be a huge use case as well. So yeah, I think there's a lot of other verticals besides just sports teams and influencers that I hope and I think we're going to see a lot more traction from in the coming years.
Andrew, in your opinion, I mean, based on what you know and the report, what it's saying, what do you think are some like catalysts though? Like what's it going to take to see more mass adoption or growth in the ecosystem? I know you mentioned other types of areas, but I feel like we're missing a catalyst, like a major catalyst. Curious if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I think major catalysts are definitely needed. I mean, we're coming out of, or still in the midst of a crypto winter right now, in the wake of things like FTX, for example. So I think we definitely know there's something needed to kind of create a spark again in that sense. One important catalyst, which hopefully we'll be a part of, is a really successful mainstream use case where maybe even the consumers, whether they're consumers of an OTT platform or of a kids focused mobile game, without giving too much away, don't even know there's Web3 kind of behind the scenes, but they just find the rewards, the gamification, the excitement that they get from engaging in these loyalty programs so valuable to themselves that it takes off and becomes really successful. And that would be their entry point into the Web3 ecosystem, so to speak. Although from their perspective, it would just be, oh, now I can actually cash these points out, or I can turn them into points from another brand and access their rewards. And I find that really useful. So I think strong actual adoption or good case studies from a mainstream company or vertical is one major catalyst. The other catalyst is, and I mean, this just applies to Web3 companies in general, more certainty from a regulatory perspective as well, right? So, I mean, everyone's watching what's going on in the US with the SEC. I think if we got some, and whatever agency or institution it comes from, I think if we got some clarity on the rules and the do's and the don'ts for cryptocurrency in general, that would be a major catalyst as well. That could give comfort to some of those institutionals like BlackRock or Goldman Sachs to start feeling comfort creating financial products that allow a lot more retail investors to get involved safely and legally. And that we would definitely see the effects of that in terms of adoption from brands and mainstream customers who would feel more confident getting involved in the Web3 ecosystem too. So successful launch, some regulations which are positive for the ecosystem, hopefully both. I think those would be the biggest catalysts that we could see.
Just to build on top of this, like you mentioned two big points, like successful launches and also more clarity on the legal perspective. I couldn't agree more that it's probably two main points so we can see more. There's another aspect, which is when it comes about Web3, like most of companies, they were, especially the last couple of years, they were like looking to NFTs as a way to put their feet into this ecosystem. Like, how do you usually explain the differences in the value of having a brand tokens versus a NFT to the companies that you are talking with?
Yeah, for sure. So, I break it down by basically saying, one is fungible, meaning there's no difference between this thing and any others like it. Just like one US dollar is technically completely identical to another US dollar, right? Or one Dunkin' Donuts point is identical to another Dunkin' Donuts point. So those are what I would describe as a brand token. They're great for things like keeping score of how engaged and how valuable you are as a fan or a consumer, because the more good things you do for a brand or a creator or a sports team, the more tokens you're ultimately going to get. And then just like a US dollar, it's a medium of an exchange where you can turn however many tokens you've accumulated through various things into some other reward. And that other reward could be an NFT. And an NFT is obviously non-fungible. So each one is completely unique. And that's more appropriate for things like, exclusive one of the kind piece of digital art, for example, or some other reward which is totally unique, like maybe a gaming item or gaming asset or something of that nature. And the other kind of dimension to an NFT is that wherever you got it, so if I got it from a reward from a game that I play, or if I got it from Dunkin' Donuts is a unique 3D piece of artwork that's maybe a 3D donut or something like that, and maybe it also comes with lifetime discounts to Dunkin' Donuts as a associated benefit. I can take that NFT out of the Dunkin' Donuts website where the Cultos widget is in the example I gave before, and I can do whatever I want with it. I can transfer it to a different wallet. I can sell it on a secondary marketplace like OpenSea. Like, I actually have ownership over it. I own that asset. So that's the way I'd explain the difference between fungible. They're all like non-fungible. Each one's unique to someone who asks.
Andre, did that answer your question?
Yeah, sure. Just a quick point here, like the fact that it's a medium of exchange actually changes the vision on this market, and maybe it can also be part of a new wave. Like we got NFTs, so people could start understanding about it, Web3, but maybe the potential now with social tokens can be expanded significantly. Go ahead, Deepak.
No, noted, Andre. Good point. So Andrew, we want to be respectful of your time, and we're getting towards the end. So we want to ask one last question, and we always ask this question to everyone we interview. We want to know what are like some of the biggest lessons you've learned so far working in Web3?
Yeah, I think that's a great question to kind of summarize everything and end it. I would say one of the biggest lessons I've learned is really dumb down or watered down the Web3 terminology. It was different in 2021 if traders are your main demographic, but that's not the case for us or most other Web3 projects, I would say, in the social token space out there. So you really have to make sure that what you're conveying as a value proposition that maybe uses technologies from Web3, like wallets that equates to first party data, tokens that equates to more gamification engagement from your customers, NFTs, more reward and incentive from your customers to sign up for a program, interoperability. You have to make sure that the language you're using actually just conveys real value in a way that either a layman brand or a layman consumer would understand, and that should be reflected in the way you build your product as well. It can't all be about, integrate your MetaMask wallet right away. The vast majority of consumers aren't going to get that or be equipped for that. It's got to be really seamless and kind of hidden behind what they're used to in terms of like a Web 2 perspective almost, so that it's seamless and really user friendly for them to sign up and start engaging. So that bridge, if you want to call it that, between Web 2 and Web 3, just keeping laser focused on that in terms of product and messaging is probably the biggest takeaway I would have.
Great points, Andrew. Couldn't agree more with you about that. It's been something that a lot of us have been realizing. Great. Thank you for that. So Andrew, we appreciate you coming on board. Thank you for being the first person to speak to about the social token report and talking more about Cultos as well.
Yeah, for sure. No, thank you guys. I had a blast being on here, and it's a great report. Happy to come back anytime if you so invite me. But yeah, I'll make sure to look out for the next report as well. So thanks again.
Awesome. We'll keep in touch. Take care, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
So, and Andre, to wrap up, we will talk a little bit about the social token report, but to everyone that watches it, we appreciate you guys tuning in and learning more about Cultos and what Andrew is building out there. I think what he's doing is great in a very specific niche pertaining to brand tokens. Andre, was there anything that you wanted that maybe caught your attention that you wanted to recap on?
No, I just want to emphasize for people that are interested into this space to take a look on the social token report. Download it's free. It's like 50 pages. You're gonna find a lot of information about what are social tokens, what are the different types of social tokens, what are the main players into these segments. So if you are a trader, an investor, and you want to understand about this ecosystem, I can't find any better report that summarizes this ecosystem than this report that we recently launched. So take a look. It's going to save hours of research. So hopefully you find helpful.
Couldn't agree more. We'll put that report, then the link to the report in the description on this video. And we have a couple more good interviews coming up in the next couple of weeks. So everyone stay tuned. But on that note, thank you everybody for watching, and we'll be back soon.
Thank you.